People in Argentina are ready to take a chainsaw to their economy. You may have heard a little about who they just elected president. Javier Milei is a shaggy-haired, rockstar-esque, eccentric economist who fashions himself an anarcho-capitalist. People call him Argentina's Trump, but President Trump never destroyed the U.S. central bank. Milei has said he wants to blow up the country's central bank, but that's not all.
Afuera!
He's vowed to shutter entire government agencies and trash the Argentine peso, with hopes of making the US dollar the national currency.
Esto no es una tarea para tibios, no es una tarea para cobardes, y mucho menos para corruptos.
And after years of calling those in Congress corrupt, Milei doesn't have a ton of friends there, which will make it hard to pass his more extreme policies.
You want a friend in this life, get a dog.
Advice Milei takes to heart. He cloned his beloved former dog Conan, producing 5 genetic matches. The English Mastiffs, he says, are his children and his political advisors.
Porque, bueno, yo personalmente no lo voté. Sentía que era como, no sé, salto al vacío. Bueno, Dios quiera que nos sorprenda.
Entre los dos yo creo que la mejor opción era él. Y Milei que está afuera, por ahí te convencía un poco más.
Conmigo se termina la decadencia y volvemos a ser potencia. Viva la libertad, carajo.
So why did Argentina's voters overwhelmingly elect a man who's promising to blow up the economy? Probably because it's been a disaster for decades.
Did Argentina ever have a single crisis that put it down, produced a Great Depression or led everybody to leave the country? No, it's been a series of mini crises through the years.
A century ago, Argentina was one of the wealthiest countries in the world, rich in natural resources, fertile land, on parity with the United States.
Argentina in 1920 had 85% of our per capita GDP. They were almost as rich as we are. Today they have 14%. It's all due to these running these policies over a century. So this is a slow train wreck.
A train wreck, many economists say, started under Juan Domingo Perón, a 3-time populist president first elected in 1946 who ruled on socialism with a side of fascism. Perón drastically expanded social welfare programs, nationalized industries, monopolized foreign trade, and pushed wages higher. As a result, growth in Argentina paled in comparison with the countries it once competed with. The peso lost value and inflation took hold. Though Perón was eventually overthrown in a military coup, Peronism persisted. Perón was even brought back from exile for a 3rd term, and Peronist candidates have largely dominated the political landscape.
Yo soy peronista. Y venga quien venga, peronista, siempre voy a votar peronismo.
Milei's opponent, Sergio Massa, was the Peronist candidate in the presidential race, and voters this time resoundingly rejected those ideals. Try shopping within your budget in Argentina when prices are literally changing by the day.
Y lo que compras una semana, ya a las siguientes semanas sale otra cosa.
Think inflation in the US is bad? While the US peaked at around 9% this cycle, people in Argentina are looking at 143% in annual inflation, with the central bank predicting 185% by the end of the year. That's not a fat finger error. Argentina is living through triple-digit inflation, among the highest in the world. Despite generous government subsidies, 40% of the population lives in poverty. Meanwhile, the value of Argentina's currency continues to plunge. 5 years ago, 37 Argentine pesos could buy $1 US. Today, it takes more than 360 pesos to make the same exchange. With no faith in their own currency, people in Argentina literally stash US dollars under the mattress for safekeeping, knowing any pesos they hold will rapidly lose value. Many turn to the black market to buy elusive dollars, which in October went for nearly 3 times the listed exchange rate. Here's a country that boasts the 2nd largest economy in South America, behind Brazil. The World Bank sees it as a nation with significant opportunities, but they've been out of balance for decades. Argentina has defaulted on its debt 9 times. The last 3 have happened since the year 2000. Who would lend money to a nation that can't pay its debts? Argentina is by far the biggest debtor to the International Monetary Fund, with about $44 billion in outstanding debt.
Countries like Argentina and Venezuela and a whole host of other countries, in many cases, very understandable reasons, take on debt that is denominated in currencies that are not their own. So they get loaded up with debt, they get IMF loans and the rest of it. Some countries just don't have much of a choice. They don't have domestic energy resources. They don't have access to food and medicine and technologies. They've got to import these things. And to get those real resources, they often have to acquire so-called hard currencies. They need the US dollar or the euro or the pound. So they get indebted in currencies that they can't issue. And then it's no surprise when, a country like Argentina that can do very well for a period of time, because it's a big exporter of things like soybeans. If soybean prices are very high and rising, well, all of a sudden Argentina is doing very well. And then when commodity markets take a tumble and prices come crashing down, all of a sudden you're not earning the foreign exchange that you need to service debt that you've taken out in other people's currency. So you can get a debt crisis in a country like that.
And this year, with the drought, Argentina's economy is expected to contract by 2.5%.
We're kind of Argentina in the making.
Argentina serves as a cautionary tale for other economies, a scary story told to say, don't follow this path, or you too might end up here. As total U.S. debt flirts with $34 trillion, American economists are quick to compare the fundamentals.
That we've increased it so much that, for example, our debt relative to our national income, to our GDP, is about 40% higher than it is in Argentina, a country that everybody knows is potentially in trouble.
Will U.S. spending spiral the country to Argentina's depths? Economist Stephanie Kelton says there's one clear difference between an Argentina and the U.S., or even Japan, which holds twice as much debt as the US when compared to the size of their economies.
Japan, the US, the UK, Australia, Canada, these governments are currency issuers, right? They're not going to run out of their own currency. They never have to borrow it from anyone in order to be able to spend.
One of Milei's chief pledges, dollarizing Argentina's economy, would mean letting another country drive its currency destiny. But doing so would eliminate a lifeline that has for decades fueled Argentina's inflation, printing pesos to cover the country's overspending. The US has no control over whether a country adopts the dollar, and experts doubt Argentina could come up with enough dollars to transition. But the US Treasury has warned countries in the past that dollarizing is not a substitute for sound fiscal policy.